All right, welcome to the rest of my life. I'm Lance Ash, and I'm heading to work. Oh, goodness. Had a really, really good weekend. Finished a painting that was, to be honest, not that good. I finished it to my usual standard, more or less, but I feel the composition wasn't that good. Wasn't that compelling. But it's alright. It's got elements that are good. And got caught up on some drawing. And I slept today so well. It's the longest continuous sleep that I've had in a long time. So much so that I had different dreams than usual. Dreams where basically I knew I was dreaming. And I'll give you an example. The main part I remember was I was riding around with some people, and it was the 1950s. 50s or early 60s. And everything out the window of the car, I guess it was out the car, had that turquoise and rose pastel coloring that everything did in photographs from that time period. My wife called it Kodachrome colors when I described it to her. But yeah, it looked like that. And I was like so delighted in the dream, and the people were like, "Well, what's up with you?" And I'm like, "I'm dreaming, and I'm back in time, and I'm just really enjoying this. This is great." And at one point in the dream, it was different phases, different things happened. But I basically said to myself in the dream, "Okay, I've had enough of this. I'm going to wake up now." And I woke up, and it was like 2 minutes before the alarm was supposed to go off. It was amazing. And I woke up with just this wonderful feeling of everything's going to be all right. Everything's so fresh and wonderful, and I can deal with anything. Speaking of which, had to get up on the roof again because all that effort, all that tar that I laid down didn't do the trick. We had some heavy rain last week, and the exhaust fan over the toilet in our bathroom leaked again. So I had to go up there again. Oh, by the way, we had a professional roofer come over to take a look at it and give us an estimate. $1,900 is what he wanted to do the job. Do the job right. I'm not paying that much. I'm not paying that much. So I went out and got another can of tar, and I bought some aluminum flashing, which didn't really fit the area, but I tarred it into place, and I'm hoping it'll create a barrier, a divertment, so that any rain rolling down from the top of the roof will go around the area where I think the leak is. Anyway, so I'm just going to have to keep putting tar until finally it stops. Okay, I really didn't have time to plan anything for this episode, so we'll wing it. All right, let's pick an area in which a topic or in which an anecdote may lie. Let's choose I'll tell you what, let's go through my life chronologically. Started kindergarten my 4 years old. I started kindergarten because of the way my birthday fell and the way the law was written back then. I started kindergarten at 4 years old and turned 5 a couple months later. Can't think. I don't know if I mentioned the birthday cake thing or not already. I may have already mentioned that on the show. So we'll skip ahead. First grade. Can't think of anything. You're not getting over here, sweetheart. Just forget it. Alright, second grade. Oh, I'll give you a little anecdote about second grade. That was the first year that we traded classes with the class across the hall. My homeroom teacher's name was Miss Bowerset, and the teacher across the hall was Mrs. Castleberry. Miss Bowerset was sort of a hippie-looking chick with long, straight blonde hair, and she didn't wear a bra. I might have mentioned that already. She bent over one day, I could see everything. But one day in Mrs. Castleberry's class, we're talking about she was just talking about something, and I raised my hand to add something to the discussion because it was relevant. Okay, it was something I'd seen on television. So I raised my hand. She calls on me, and I said, "The other day I was watching Scooby-Doo, and she cut me off short. I don't care. I don't care what you saw on Scooby-Doo." And I know all the kids turn and look, and they laugh, and I feel ashamed. I'll tell you something else about that teacher. She had a Mickey Mouse ears hat. And she told everybody, now the best student of the week will get to wear this hat all day on Friday, every week. And I was never chosen. Looking back on it, not so surprising. I was always a bad kid. Obstreperous. Disruptive. Third grade was a bad year. I can't remember what my homeroom teacher's name was, but the teacher across the hall we traded with was Miss Mabry. I've been told that her first name was Elise, but I don't know if I heard that right. Anyway, I really liked her, but the feeling wasn't exactly mutual. I remember one day we're filing into her room, and she says, "You stand aside for a second." And everybody's finished filing in, she hands me a couple pieces of paper, and she says, "If you won't do your work in my room, you'll do it somewhere else. Go to Mrs. Crane's room." I vaguely knew where that was, so I had to march over way on the other side of the school to the big kids' hall. This is like 5th and 6th graders. I found Miss Crane's room. I go in there and report. This is where the kids who are just total fuck-ups have to go. And they have refrigerator boxes, cardboard boxes that refrigerators are shipped in, with doors cut in the side and a little desk in there. And it's like an isolation box. You sit and do your work. Do your work! Which is basically, these mimeographed pieces of paper with 17 minus 3 on them. And you got to fill in the blanks. It's just this kind of crap. And it's just like the post office. It's a lot of crap so they can get some numbers up on a chart somewhere. The teacher has to prove her worth to some board, and so you're responsible for 60 kids every day, and we have mimeographed 7 worksheets per week for these 60 kids, and if they're all turned in, then you get a point on this graph. And then if you get so many points per quarter or per year, then you get a $5 raise or something. That's what it all amounts to. Actually teaching the children, that's secondary. Third grade was the year that I had to start seeing a child psychiatrist named Pat White. And my parents had told her all the different behavioral problems they had with me. And apparently one of them was he's a messy eater. He doesn't display good table manners. So she would take me out of school occasionally for like sessions with her. And she had a truck. And she drove me downtown one day. There used to be a bakery downtown called the A&A Bakery. And she bought me an eclair. I'd never had an eclair before. I'm like, oh, delighted. This is going to be wonderful. So go back. This is back then the Clark County Health Department, I guess. And she's got her own little office in there. And she had a separate little room in the office with a video camera set up so that she could record people without them seeing the camera. And she said, okay, now this is what we're going to do. You're going to sit in the room, and I'm not going to be in the room. I'm going to be in the other room filming you. And we're going to put the eclair on this plate and give you a fork and knife. And your job, you'll eat the eclair by cutting the eclair up with a fork and knife. And I'll film you, and you'll watch the film back, and you'll see just how you eat. So it would, in the wild, I would never have dreamed of eating an eclair with a fork and knife. You just pick the damn thing up like a donut, you know? And so we're watching the film back, and she's like, see how you hold the fork, see how you hold the knife. This is wrong. These things are wrong. This is what a psychiatrist does. I'm trying to think. The first time I ever played Stratego was with her. She came to see me at the end of the year and said, this is the last time I'm ever going to see you. I'm moving on to a new job in Virginia. And it was like a sad thing, because she'd grown to like me, or I'd grown to like her, or something. I'm trying to think what else happened with her. I've tried to find these people online since and have had no success. Third grade, near the end of third grade, my mother became a postmaster. And the increase in salary was just enough that she could send my sister and me to private school, private Christian school. Oh, what a blessing from the Lord. And so in fourth grade, I started at this place. I was delighted at first because they had sheetrock walls and carpet on the floors. The public school I'd gone to before had cinder block walls painted over many times, and concrete floors that had tile on them, and exposed pipes overhead. And I'll tell you something. Fourth grade, teacher's name was Mrs. Hughes. Can't remember. I think the other teacher was Miss at the time, Ford. She later got married. But anyway, so a couple days into the school year, Mrs. Hughes took me out in the hall and she said, I've noticed that you're not writing in cursive. Did they not teach you cursive at that public school you went to? And I said, oh yeah, they did, but I just don't like writing in cursive. And that was the end of that. I've never written in cursive ever again in my life. When I was younger, I saw adults writing in cursive, and I thought, oh my God, this is the adult way to write. Oh, I can't wait. And when they put me through the paces of learning cursive, I hated it. I hated all the top loop of the K goes above the line, and it has to, where it comes back down to meet the body of the K, it has to come below this line here. Okay, now do that 60 times, and then we'll move on to the letter L. Writing the capital letter L was all I gave a shit about. Fifth grade. Fourth grade, I met the person who was going to be my best friend for the next couple of years. But because we were in the same class, we sat next to each other because everybody was alphabetical, and his last name also began with an A. But in fifth grade, he wasn't in that class, or it wasn't in my homeroom class. So I started hanging out with this guy named David, who was, even as a kid, a total sex freak. And every day at the private Christian school, we had an assembly, everybody, and it was called chapel. It's time for chapel, everyone. And you'd get a sermon every single day. You had to carry your Bible around with you all the time. It was required. So anyway, we're sitting in chapel one day. The kindergarten through 6th grade had their chapel in the gym. 7th grade through 12th grade had their chapel in a special chapel. Special part of this building called Bicentennial Hall. So anyway, we're sitting in chapel, sitting next to David, and in the middle of the sermon, he turns to me chuckling, and he goes, I got a boner. Oh my God. It was horrible. 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 I can't think of anything else that happened in 5th grade. This weekend, my wife and I went to this library bookstore. Little bookstore that's an adjunct to a library in a very small town, and they sell books to raise funds for the library. And I got Monty Python's Big Red Book, a Little Red Book, something like that. I'd never heard of it. It's like artwork and text from the first season of Flying Circus, and it's pretty cool. I also got 2 books of poetry by Ogden Nash. This weekend I watched an interview from 1977, Dick Cavett interviewing Edward Gorey. And it's pretty interesting. I had just recently thought about rereading some Henry James, and part of their conversation, and it was a conversation more than an interview really, was them talking about Henry James. It sort of reminded me of Bob Costas used to have this show called Later that came on after Letterman. And it was a great show because it was just two people in this little space talking. No audience. You don't need an audience. I wish there was more, I don't know, more stuff like that. Of course, television itself is dead. And online entertainment's taken over. I watched a good bit of sort of like samplers of the Mighty Boosh this weekend. I'm going to have to find a way to watch whole episodes. I'm just rambling, really, just trying to fill up space. Let me check something. Alright, a couple of seconds here and we'll be done. I'm trying to think of what else happened. Nothing, I guess. So I guess we'll call it quits. Thank you very, very much for listening. I'll see you later. Bye.